Turning to breaking news tonight, within the last 2 hours, the State House followed the Senate in overriding Governor Cooper's veto of the abortion bill, which now becomes law in North Carolina.
The vote 72-48. WRAL has team coverage of the vote and the reaction to the biggest reduction to abortion access in decades. We begin with our Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie live at the state legislative building. Laura?
That 72-48 vote was a straight party line vote in the House, completing the override of Governor Cooper's veto. The Senate overrode the veto earlier today, also on party lines. The vote was greeted with tears and jeers by some in the gallery.
By the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto and the bill becomes law, notwithstanding the governor's objections. So be notified.
Protesters in the gallery had to be cleared out after chants of shame erupted when the veto was overridden. The new law will ban elective abortions after the first trimester, with exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. It also includes new restrictions on medication abortion and new requirements for abortion clinics. Sponsor Representative Sarah Stevens called it a mainstream compromise.
The things in this bill are not obstacles to abortion. They're safeguards. We seek to balance protecting unborn babies while ensuring the safe care of mothers.
Democrats spoke against the law for more than an hour, warning that its effects would be much more restrictive than Republicans were saying. Representative Diamond Staten-Williams, a registered nurse, talked about her own abortion experience.
When I read this language of Senate Bill 20, all I see is the removal of the God-given right for myself and folks like me to make decisions for ourselves. That's all I see. The ability to choose what's best for us has been removed for us.
Every major medical association in the state has come out against the new law, but Republican Representative Kristen Baker, a doctor herself, supports it. She was nearly drowned out by protesters.
Importantly, it protects the integrity of the doctor-patient relationship. It protects the
audience members.
Now, Cotham did not speak with reporters after today's vote. She was hustled off the floor by security, but in a statement issued after the vote, she called the Democrats' position, which used to be her position, extreme. I believe this bill strikes a reasonable balance on the abortion issue and represents a middle ground that anyone not holding one of the two extremist positions can support, she said in a statement. We also talked to some of the folks who were here tonight from the public to watch this vote, either on the supporting side or the opponent side. Aaron Thomas is right outside the building with what some of those folks had to say.
Yeah, Laura, considering what happened after this vote and after weeks of coverage, we got exactly what we were expecting. We had some folks who came here to the legislative building either as individuals or as groups, either to show their support or opposition to this veto override. Taking you inside of the building tonight, you can actually hear some of these protesters shouting and screaming shame after this vote to override the veto took place. Some of them had to be escorted out by police. Moments after the veto override took place, we spoke with some of these people who came to witness tonight's legislative action in person. This includes one man who wanted to let lawmakers know that they made the right move, and a local OBGYN who worries about the future of health care for women here in North Carolina.
To let our legislators know that we support life and that we want them to support life. They say the majority is for murder, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think if there's honesty in reporting and in polls, they would see that the majority of Americans are not for murdering a little baby in the womb.
As an OBGYN, as a woman, as a mother, I feel really strongly that women should have the right to make those decisions. And I know this is a 12-week whip ban, but with all the restrictions, it's going to really, really limit access to abortion at all for many of the women in North Carolina.
And taking a look at that last interview, you could actually see that doctor appeared to have tears in her eyes. I have been checking social media feeds from both the GOP party and Democratic Party here in North Carolina. The North Carolina GOP party retweeted the SBA Pro-Life America group, and it's a group that called this a pro-life victory here in North Carolina, whereas the North Carolina Democratic Party, they said that they plan to make their voices heard at the ballot box. Gerald?
All emotions, it won't be settled anytime soon. Aaron Thomas, live in Raleigh. Thank you, Aaron.
And let's get right to the statement from Governor Roy Cooper just into the Live Center right now, new at 10 o'clock. The governor is saying North Carolinians now understand the Republicans are unified in their assault on women's reproductive freedom. I'll continue doing everything I can to protect abortion access in North Carolina because women's lives depend on it. More reaction from both sides of the aisle, organizations for and against, coming up tonight at 10:30 and under the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com right now. You can read much more on the story as reaction continues to come in here in the Live Center.